welcome back to Math at Home. Today we're going to have another session about Unit 12C. In this video we're going to cover the time concept. This video is going to cover pages 142 and 143 from your student's book. The pages related to workbook are page 66 question 1 and page 67 question 2. Before we start the lesson, I'll ask you to grab your math book and copybook, a pen or a pencil. And by the way, I recommend you to use your headphones while you're watching the video. Let's get it started. We are going to deal with some vocabulary about the time concept. The keywords, as shown here, are sorted from second, minute, hour, day, week, month, fortnight, analog clock, digital clock, duration, intervals, calendar, and timetable. So let's analyze them one by one. When we talk about time, the smallest unit we could consider in a daily life is 1 second. We actually define other units based on the second. So when we talk about minute, we will say 60 seconds are going to form 1 minute. So when we talk about the hour, we're going to use the same quantity and say 1 hour is 60 minutes. Moving on to the day, we will say that each one day consists of 24 hours. Now this 24-hour is very important because I'm going to talk further about it in analog clock and digital clock time. When we go to week, we form 1 week using 7 days. So I want you to know that these are all standards and we humans have defined these definitions. So when we talk about 1 week, we actually say it is 7 days. Now, there is a big misunderstanding about month. When we think about month, we usually think it is exactly 30 days, which is not. So, as we carry on, and I will show you the calendar, you will see that some months are going to have 29, some others 30, while some have 31 days. So, when we talk about the conversion of month to week, we say that 1 month is barely 4 weeks. So the next expression might be familiar and at the same time unfamiliar to you about the time concept. When we talk about fortnight, we say that 1 fortnight is exactly 2 weeks. So 7 days are going to form 1 week and 14 days are going to make 1 fortnight, which means 2 weeks. Okay, so far so good. And I am mainly sure that you are familiar with all these definitions. Now the tricky part starts from now on. When we talk about the analog clock, what we can imagine of is the clock face. Now, as you can see it, this clock face is covering the numbers from 1 to 12. Just recently I told you that 1 day consists of 24 hours. So, how are we going to fit 24 hours in a 12-hour scale? So this is where the AM and PM department starts. When we talk about the AM part of the day, we mean 00 o'clock till 11:59. Now you might say, teacher, what is 00 o'clock? And I would reply that 00 o'clock is exactly the midnight, 12 o'clock at night. And you might wonder why we have 11:59 instead of 12 o'clock. I will give you further explanation later on. Then when we talk about PM, we mean 12 o'clock till 23:59. It means the part of the day that starts by lunchtime till 1 minute to the midnight, which we literally call it 23:59. So if I want to cut it short, I should say that AM part mainly refers to the morning part of the day, And the PM part mainly refers to the afternoon, evening, and night part of the day. Alright, now if you want to move to the digital clock can limitlessly express the time without having any issues with AM and PM or any 12 or 24-hour scale, because as you could guess, it could freely move from 1 o'clock to 24 o'clock. There is no limit in showing the numbers. So, as I want to express the digital time on a straight line, the beginning of the time is going to represent 00 o'clock, which as you could guess, it was the midnight. Then the end of the time is going to represent 24 o'clock. The halfway between the line is actually 12 o'clock, which means the lunch time. So, the time between 00 o'clock and 12 o'clock is going to be considered as AM part of the day. While the part between 12 o'clock noon or lunchtime till 24 o'clock, which includes afternoon, evening, and night time, is going to be PM part of the day. So as an example, if we want to pick 13 o'clock from 24 time scale, in AM and PM department, it's going to be represented by 1 PM. Let's take another example. Let's say 17 o'clock. Now, I give you a couple of seconds to guess. What would 17 o'clock be in AM or PM department? Well, as you might have guessed, it's going to be 5 p.m. Well, now, in order to ease up the process of changing 24-hour time to 12-hour time, I'm going to give you a start point. Make sure to write it down. So when you talk about 24 or 12-hour time, if you minus the 24-hour time by 12, your answer is going to be in 12-hour time scale. As an example, if we take 17 o'clock and minus it by 12, our answer is going to be 5. After 12 till 24 hour, the time is called PM, so our answer is going to be 5 PM. What we need to pay attention right now is timetable. Well, there are some definitions for these keywords. According to the dictionary, a timetable means a list of time in which buses, trains, or any transportation vehicle arrive or leave. In order to understand the concept in a good way, I'm going to pick an example from our book. Well, as you could see here, there are multiple times written in front of each city, which are going to represent the arrival of the train. For example, if we want to go from Brereton to Yellow Park, well, I need to wait for the time to be 12:17 so that I could get on the train and I will reach the Yellow Park in exactly at 13:06 o'clock. You don't need to worry about how to read the timetable because I'm going to explain the timetable in a very detailed way. Now the next keyword we're going to be talking about related to timetable is the word interval. Interval means period of time between two events. Now let's say that you have your breakfast at 9 o'clock and you're going to have your lunch by 12 o'clock. Now the interval between your breakfast time and lunch time is going to be 3 hours. Since you started your breakfast by 9 and you're going to have your lunch by 12 o'clock, so the time difference between these two events is exactly 3 o'clock. That's what we call it an interval. So let's take our timetable as instance. For example, consider the shape castle. The interval between two arrivals, 13:38 o'clock and 13:53 o'clock. We want to see what is the interval between these two arrivals. Could you please make a small calculation and tell me what the interval is? if we want to see the time difference between 1338 and 1353, it's going to be 15 minutes. So it takes 15 minutes from the first arrival. So it takes 15 minutes for the second train to reach Shape Castle station. Now, what is left is going to be duration. Now, mostly students confuse between duration and interval. All I want you to know is that duration is how long an event continues. So let's take the breakfast and lunch as an instance. If you're having breakfast, you only have 15 minutes to finish your meal. Therefore, we say that the duration in breakfast time is 15 minutes. Yet, the interval was 3 hours, which means you have 3 hours from breakfast time till your lunch time to start. In order to break it down more, let's make an example from our timetable. Let's say that you want to travel from Lydon to Biston City. Therefore, the duration of your trip, if you get on the train at 11:54, you're going to reach your destination by 12:54. Therefore, the duration of your trip is going to be exactly 1 hour. So what is left here in our keywords part is going to be the calendar. As you may know already, our calendar includes 12 months. And those 12 months are going to add up to 365 days. What is mainly important here is that you're supposed to be able to write the months from your memory. So, I will read and pronounce the months one after the other, and I will ask you to please accompany me. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. I will read all the months once again from the beginning. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. So this was all about our teaching part. What we're going to do next is to open page 143 on practice part. I will help you out with some of the questions, and I will leave some others on you. Please open page 143, practice part on your student's book. Prepare your copybook and try to answer the questions with me. Question number 1. What are each of these times using the 12-hour clock? Before we start, I want to remind you that in order to convert the 24-hour clock into 12-hour clock, we used to minus our time from 12. But what you need to know is that all the times before 12 o'clock are considered the same in AM part and the 12-hour time part. So only those which are after 12 o'clock are going to be different. Therefore, choice A, 8:47, it's going to be same as 8:47 AM. 20:47, 20:47 is in the evening, so we are going to minus it by 12. It's going to be 8:47 p.m. 11:05. 11:05 is in the morning, so it will be the same as 11:05 a.m. 23:05. 23:05 is at night, so we're going to minus it by 12. It will be 11:05 p.m. 14 o'clock. 14 o'clock is in the afternoon, so we are going to easily minus it by 12. It's going to be 2 p.m. And choice F, 00 o'clock. As you remember, I told you that 00 o'clock is going to be on AM department. So this is going to be 12 a.m., which means midnight. Let's go to question 2. Use the timetable on page 142 to calculate the duration of each journey. Alright, so it seems like we will need the timetable. Let's grab it. Choice A. Take the 1317 train from Brereton to Bankstown. Okay, if you try to find the train which arrives Brereton at 1317 o'clock, 1317 o'clock, up until 1430 o'clock, our duration of time is going to be 1 hour and 13 minutes. In other words, 73 minutes. B. Take the 1224 train from Lydden to Shape Castle. Alright, if you find Lydden and 1224 o'clock and follow it to the destination of Shape Castle, our duration is going to be 1 hour and 59 minutes. So the answer for choice C is going to be 1 hour and 13 minutes or 73 minutes. I will leave choice D on you. Question number 3. It is 5 to 1 in the afternoon. So 5 to 1 o'clock means 12:55 o'clock. How many minutes will a passenger have to wait for the next train from Brereton? Paying attention to the timetable, the very first time that a train arrives to Brereton, which is after 12:55 o'clock, is 1317 o'clock. It means if somebody reaches there by 12:55, we'll need to wait 22 minutes until the time shows 1317 o'clock and the train arrives. Choice B. How many minutes will a passenger have to wait for the next train from Regent's River? The train from Regent's River arrives by 13:10 o'clock. And as we remember, the passenger was there at 12:55. It means he or she needs to wait exactly 15 minutes. From Biston. Okay, let's find the very first time which our passenger can catch the train. It obviously is going to be 13:09 o'clock. So apparently, our passenger is going to wait for 14 minutes up until the next train. As I did for question 2, I will leave choice D on you. Alright, that is what it was for today's lesson. Please try to watch the video all over again and review what I told you, and go through the questions one by one without watching my instructions on your own, please. Hope to see you soon, and bye bye.